This is where it happens here at Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot to unpack this morning. Before we go into all of that, I'm not alone, as I will usually say, in the Liverpool tone, you will never walk alone. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Femi.
How are you?
Oh, very fine. Thank you. How are you?
Good to have you here. But I'm alive. I'm up and grateful.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And having a nice time as a Nigerian. I mean,
yes, it is.
There is never a better time to be alive.
Well, let's watch at the events unfold. But then it's about the soul of our nation. And that's why we are here. This nation must prosper in our time and beyond as well.
Absolutely. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning to the world. Good morning to all our viewers from all over the world. Thank you for joining us once again on Morning Spring. This is Western Spring Television. It promises to be a wonderful day. Like Femi said, we have a lot to unpack on the program this morning, so you don't want to miss it. Interestingly, yesterday, Femi, the House of Reps and the Senate could not deliberate on the biggest story, on the biggest matter in Nigeria right now.
Right.
That's a state of emergency imposed on Rivers State by the President of the Federation, as announced on Tuesday evening. They couldn't deliberate on it due to low attendance. For instance, for this state of emergency to stand, the Senate needs 2/3 of their members to vote in favor. That is 73 out of 109 senators. But unfortunately, they couldn't do that yesterday, and it was postponed. So hopefully today, Thursday, 20th March 2025, hopefully they would have that deliberation on the floor of the Senate of the nation of Nigeria. And the same thing applies to the House of Representatives. They too could not deliberate on that issue, on that matter, due to low turnout of legislators. So hopefully today they would do that. For the House of Representatives, 2/3, I think that will be 240 out of 360 House of Representatives members. So let us hope they do that today. A lot of people have called on them to nullify, or how do I say it now, not to approve the state of emergency in Rivers State. So let us see how it goes. There's been arguments just before the session started, before the plenary started yesterday. There was a heated argument between two female House of Reps members. So let's hope how it goes. Both of them actually are from PDP. We'll give you more as we unpack our stories on the program this morning. Thank you once again for joining us. Emeka Daniel is my name. Do stay with us.
We'll go for the papers right now, and we'll continue. All right, let's start with the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune is the first point of call this morning. Outrage as emergency rule kicks off in Rivers. Outrage as emergency rule kicks off in Rivers. With the rider, NBA Southern Middle Belt leaders, Labour, PDP governors, Amechi Obi orders fault president. NBA Southern Middle Belt leaders, Labour, PDP governors, Amechi Obi, others fault president. You see the picture of the new administrator there, Vice Admiral Ibok, Ibas, taking the oath of office before the President Bola Tinubu, during his swearing-in. And beside that, we have a lot of insight and talking point. Tinubu swears in Vice Admiral Ibas as sole administrator. It is unconstitutional. National Assembly should not approve President's request. NBA. It is brazen, reckless, and has technically truncated democracy in Rivers. Amici. No provision in Constitution empowers the federal government to take over the government of any federating state. That is from the Southern Middle Belt leaders. It is an assault on democracy that's coming from the Labour. Reverse your hasty retrogressive decision. PDP governors tell Tinubu. And still, on the story, AGF defends Tinubu reject comparison to Jonathan's action in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. And I will work with stakeholders to restore law and order. That is coming from Ibas, the administrator. There, we will look into all of that in the course of the program for today. Moving on, protesters shot Ondo governor's office over killing of another 5 farmers by suspected herdsmen. This is one situation that has become or becoming incessant in nature. The killing of people by marauders, by killer herdsmen. And it seems it happens, okay, a few agitations, life continues. And people went to the governor's office to say, enough is enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, these herdsmen, the kind of weapons they carry, sometimes you begin to imagine, why are they allowed to carry such weapons? That's the question. Because if people from other parts of the country should carry such weapons, eyebrows will be raised. So why are these people moving around with dangerous weapons?
It's even illegal for them to go around with assault weapons. There is a law prohibiting that. Anybody seen with military-grade weapon, and you're not a military officer, even if you're an officer and you're not on duty, you should be questioned.
Because I've seen them with my own eyes. I mean, with rifles. And you begin to wonder, what are they doing with these weapons?
Just to move around cattle.
To protect their...
Well, moving on, 11 bandits, 1 policeman killed in gun duel in Benue. Sad that we lost a man, but then good that these criminals are being, neutralized one after the other. Top street. Dangote refinery suspends sale of petrol in Naira. That is another one that people are waiting, to see how it affects us. And in Nigeria, right, it appears like we are making progress. Just give a few days or few weeks, and it will look like whatever gains we have made will just be rolled back. Because right now, people are now waiting to see the impact of these. The Dangote refinery gave their reasons for doing that, but now, Dangote refinery suspends sale of petrol in Naira. At the moment the forex element comes in, is another story.
Yeah. There will be hiking fuel prices, and there is nothing we can do about it. Definitely the prices will go up because it will be absolutely beyond the control of Dangote. So Nigerians will be left to bear the brunt of
exactly.
that.
And when it looks like the prices, the price of PMS is reducing, even if it is in trickle effect, 30 Naira today, 20 Naira tomorrow. If we have that reduction over like a period of time, possibly we'll have gained something significant. But now that we are seeing this, and trust Nigerian businessmen and women, even when they don't know how or if this will impact, the moment they know something is just happening somewhere, and they might have increasing effect on the price.
They will take advantage of it. But again, Femi, whatever happened to the Port Harcourt refinery? We've not been hearing much about the Port Harcourt refinery.
It shows.
So it's all about Dangote now. What happened?
It just further establishes that assertion that is always said, especially in the oil sector, the opacity in the nature of running that particular sector. And the more you try to look, the less.
They were criticizing former President Olusegun Obasanjo for saying that it will not work.
Yeah.
They kept saying this and they kept criticizing it. My question now is, whatever happened to the Port Harcourt refinery? Why the over-reliance on Dangote? That's a question I want Nigerians to answer.
Wait. I'm not sure Nigerians have answered to that. Possibly we should keep asking that question, because we should be asking military, the GMD of the NNPC. You should be asking Eniki Lokobiri as the Minister of State in charge of oil. We should be asking Mr. President. He is the minister.
Of course.
These are the questions. Moving away, tanker explosion shuts down Abuja Kefi Expressway, and it's been reported widely on different papers. And some have said it's attributed to the CNG powered vehicle. Some said it has to do with tanker and all of those things. But it's sad that we're experiencing these now. Now, lastly, from the Tribune front page for today. AFCC arrested Bauchi Accountant General for alleged 70 billion naira fraud. He will have his day in court. That will be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
From the Nigerian Tribune, we move straight to the Punch newspaper. Moving straight to the Punch newspaper this morning. Rivers emergency rule. Federal government deploys 10,000 troops against vandals as opposition NLC protest. FG deploys 10,000 troops against vandals as opposition NLC protest. With a rider, fresh explosion in Rivers. PDP protests as AGF, APC threaten emergency rule extension. Fresh explosion in Rivers. PDP protests. AGF, that's the Accountant General of the Federation, APC, threaten emergency rule extension. Just yesterday, the AGF, that's the Accountant General of the Federation, the person of Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, was trying to rationalize the motive behind the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State. And he said, in his words, as reported by the Vanguard newspaper, he said that suspended governor Siminalayi Fubara actually teleguided militants to blow up pipelines in Rivers State. Femi, and I begin to wonder, when did the AGF become an intelligence expert?
Well, and he didn't corroborate what he said,
Exactly.
what he said rather. Exactly. And just like you said, many persons were wondering, the work of the AGF yesterday, he spoke like a minister of information. Absolutely. Because just churning out information from his end and answering questions. When he was asked about the suspension of these elected leaders, he'd rather, defend it without citing any instance. When we expect a lawyer of that standard, a learner Sikh, to come and say, this is why we did this, and it is not unprecedented. This case. But he will have left that defense for the Minister of Information to just reel it out as an information person, because some will say maybe he is indefensible, that particular decision. And, in law, there is always that open end that people always latch into to say, okay, the law gave that opportunity to say the president in charge can use extraordinary measures.
Well, now he's making serious allegations.
What is the definition of extraordinary measure? Does that involve the suspension of Fubara, the deputy, and the House of Assembly members? And for coming out categorically, the teleguiding thing, that they are blaming Fubara and the state government for that, when these militants who are giving out those threat messages, you didn't dissociate yourself. In fact, there was an allusion, according to them, and some videos to say, you codedly said, youth, don't worry, when the time is right, we will give you the signal. And many persons will say, there's an extreme situation that many persons, even if the governor didn't mean that his state will be threatened, the economy of the country will be threatened, that particular word for you to say, youth, I salute you. If this continues, when the time is right, we will give you the signal. And that many persons will say that has made the situation bad.
But that is not enough. I believe the federal government should come up with proofs, with evidence to show that Fubara actually did that, because that's a serious allegation. Moving on to other stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. From the top strip, Naira for crude, fuel price hike looms as Dangote NNPCL talks fail. Naira for crude, fuel price hike looms as Dangote NNPCL talks fail. Moving on to other stories on the Punch newspaper. Minimum wage, NYSC to spend 307.6 billion naira on corpus mobilization. Minimum wage, NYSC to spend 307.6 billion naira on corpus mobilization. Stop military attacks on discos, Adelabu tells NSA. Stop military attacks on discos, Adelabu tells National Security Advisor. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning. EFCC arrests Bauchi Accountant General over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrests Bauchi Accountant General over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. Right there at the middle of the page, we see the picture of Governor of Lagos State. That's Sanwo-Olu himself. Sanwo-Olu unveils new blocks of classrooms in Ikorodu. Sanwo-Olu unveils new blocks of classroom in Ikorodu. On the bottom strip of the Punch newspaper this morning, police confirm death of inspector, 12 gunmen in fierce battle. Police confirm death of inspector, 12 gunmen in fierce battle. Mobat's brother, friend, arrested outside Lagos court. Mobat's brother, friend, arrested outside Lagos court. You can see the story on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Finally, from the Punch newspaper this morning, PDP tackles APC as Kogi constituents begin Natasha's recall. PDP tackles APC as Kogi constituents begin Natasha's recall. Femi, recall that on Monday, I said it here, that a group of people, Ibra Youth Leadership Forum, actually passed the votes of no confidence in Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Right.
Now, they've started the process of recalling her. So it wasn't just a joking matter. So these people are actually serious. They do not believe that Senator Natasha is representing them well.
Well, they are not the only ones who voted her in. We'll wait to see. And the process of recalling, successfully recalling our senator, is the one that is, I think, the most stressful, the most Herculean by our laws. It takes, in fact, to impeach a president is easier to recall an honorable member. So let's see. Dino was trying to, there was a call to recall him at a time. I'm not sure there is any honorable member. The National Assembly, especially in this republic that we are running, as far as democracy is concerned, have been successfully recalled. It's too difficult to do that. That's why I dare say to recall a president, to impeach a governor and a president is far easier than to recall a Senate. So let's see how they will do.
Absolutely. So that'll be all from the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right. From the Punch newspaper, we move to the next very quickly. Virtually all the papers have almost the same thing, but we still do justice to that. And quickly, from the Guardian for today, Guardian newspaper, stalled Naira for crude deal. That's on page 6. Imminent end to subsidized petrol as FX PMS face major disruption. Stalled Naira for crude deal. Imminent end to subsidized petrol as FX PMS face major disruptions. And you see the critical stakeholders here. Military of the NNPCL, Mr. Aliko Dangote there. Moving on, many fear dead cars burnt as tanker explosion rocks. Abuja. Federal government dismisses WHO report and stock out of essential HIV drugs, then show the proof. That says SDP denies connection, party funding by Tinubu. All right. And Shatima task lawmakers on food security legislations. You have the picture of the new administrator of River State having a firm handshake with his boss, President Bola Tinubu. And federal government reads riot act to state as Nigerians rule state of emergency in Rivers. And working groups submit report, seeks urgent help for correctional centers. That is an institution that needs really urgent help. Natasha constituents reject sham recall process as Kogi Rec dismisses rumor. I tell you, it's a lot. Now, Okpebolo predicts victory for Tinubu in 2027 as 17 local government bosses dump PDP. Interesting. One will say for a man that is, less than 6 months or thereabout in office, talking about re-election of the president. How serious can we be? Now, EFCC arrests Bauchi AG, others over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. That will be all from The Guardian.
From the Guardian newspaper, we move straight to the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's check out some of the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Fuel price may rise as Naira for crude deal stalls. Fuel price may rise as Naira for crude deal stalls. With a rider, experts seek government intervention. Experts seek government intervention. Right at the middle of that page, we see that picture right there, the scene of an explosion, a tanker explosion in Abuja. That's quite an unfortunate one. And on the top strip, we have the story right there, the headline, "Many fear dead as tanker explodes on Abuja Road." Many fear dead as tanker explodes on Abuja Road. We've been having cases of tanker explosions. It keeps recurring. And I begin to wonder what can be done, what safety measures have been put in place to curb the recurrence of this, because it's getting too much. Every now and then we hear about, few tankers exploding. What can we do? What are we not doing right? Why are we not getting it right? Because if you look at the frequency of these explosions, I think this is one explosion too many. And I think the government should do something about it. Moving on to other stories on the Daily Trust this morning. Poor sanitation. Others push meningitis deaths to 55 in Kebbi. Poor sanitation. Others push meningitis deaths to 55 in Kebbi. Still on the Daily Trust newspaper. EFCC arrests Bauchi's Accountant General over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrests Bauchi's Accountant General over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. That's a huge one. And on the bottom strip of the Daily Trust this morning, Rivers crisis. Emergency rule can be overturned. Rivers crisis. Emergency rule can be overturned. That's according to Yaduda. With a rider, overruled Tinubu, NMPP rather, LP, others tell National Assembly, overruled Tinubu, NNPP, LP, others tell National Assembly. And that's what a lot of Nigerians are saying. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, please overrule, the National Assembly rather, please overrule President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's decision to impose a state of emergency on Rivers State. A lot of people have risen to tell the National Assembly. Now we are waiting on the National Assembly. As they convene today, the Senate and the House of Representatives, let us see exactly what will happen. And that will be all from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, from the Daily Trust, we move to The Nation for today. The Nation newspaper, a quick one. And federal government indicts Fubaran Bomi of oil pipeline. And just above that, Rivers, we do not expect the state of emergency to be extended, but it is not in the hands of the president, but in the political society of Rivers State. And the writers to that story, AGF explains why the decision on the decision of the emergency rule was taken. Situation in Rivers not same as in Borno, others in 2013. Suspended governor out of government house, Ibas sworn in. And Dangote's planned sale of petrol in dollar raises pump price hike fears. And the bottom strip, NACA shows of uninterrupted HIV drug supply and protests in Akure over death of 5. And top strip, court vacates order on Natasha. Record process begins and federal government injects 32.8 billion naira into basic healthcare. FCCPC explains role in consumer rights. And lastly, FCTA to take possession of 4,794 revoked Abuja properties. That's all from the front page of The Nation.
From The Nation, we move straight to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the Vanguard newspaper, federal government, governors disagree. Emergency rule in Rivers. Emergency rule in Rivers. Federal government, governors disagree. Right there at the top of the paper, top right corner, we have the picture of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the newly installed administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, retired, at that ceremony that took place in Abuja yesterday, witnessed by the Accountant General, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, the Chief of Staff to the government, as Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, and of course, the Principal Secretary to the President, in the person of Hakeem Muri-Okunla, in that ceremony right there. And Governors have disagreed. They want that emergency rule overturned. Moving straight to other stories on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. 2026 World Cup race, 3 points against Rwanda, non-negotiable. 2026 World Cup race, 3 points against Rwanda, non-negotiable. Protest rocks Ondo as armed herdsmen kill 5 farmers. Protest rocks Ondo as armed herdsmen kill 5 farmers. Policeman, 11 militia gang members killed in Benue community. Policeman, 11 militia gang members killed in Benue community. Still on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, let's quickly look at this one. Audit panel to federal government. Our prisons in deplorable conditions. Audit panel to federal government. Our prisons in deplorable conditions. You can check out that story on page 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. Oborivori, Wasima, others advocate measures to strengthen local content drive. Oborivori, Wasima, others advocate measures to strengthen local content drive. And that'll be all from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, and that will be all. But before that, you spoke about the World Cup qualifiers, actually, and it's a win or get out kind of situation for the Nigerian Super Eagles right now. The remaining matches, they have 2 or 3, they must just win. There is no place for a draw, and then we'll start permutation of this country beats this one. If you can get 2 points or there.
Why is Nigeria always like that? Why are we always down to permutation? So if this one should beat this one, why are we always like that?
I think we have moved away from that for some time, really. The last World Cup or so, the Nations Cup will qualify with 1 match to go, but this one, and we were supposed to be the big team in that place, but we took it with levity. But now it's either you win or you get out. And I just want to see, that's the biggest football competition in the world, the World Cup, and it's holding in the US, and you know, it's won. The last time the World Cup was in US was in USA 94. And then Atlanta 96. Nigeria did well in USA 94, you know, due to naivety.
That was Nigeria's best performance ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, second round still, but then we haven't got into the quarterfinals. And then the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, the gold. And Nigerians are waiting. Let our flag be hoisted. So Super Eagles tomorrow. Go, 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 boys. Let's just. Nigerian fans are the most passionate that you can find. If you do well, they'll praise you. If you don't do well, you go collect.
If you are hypertensive, be careful when you're supporting the Nigerian team.
I wonder why you are pointing at me. If anybody,
okay. If anybody's hypertensive, my advice is
yes, manage expectation. Exactly. Because there was a match that we played that somebody died during the Nations Cup, the last Nations Cup. Let's manage expectations. We'll go on this break. When we return, we'll get straight right into what we have for you. You don't want to snooze or blink at all. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Stay with us.